But overall, what Bitcoin is doing right now is still within the realm of the analysis that I've been providing here on this channel. We've been talking about the 21-week EMA as being a major support level. And I've been saying for the past many weeks, as long as we remain above the 21-week EMA, then things still look very bullish for Bitcoin. And as of right now, we are finding a little bit of support off the 21-week EMA. And as of right now, we are still above the 21-week EMA, which means that I got to remain bullish on Bitcoin. Things still look good for Bitcoin from a long-term perspective. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson, and today we're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently trading at $8,820. Things have gotten very bearish for Bitcoin very quickly in the past few days. A lot of people are currently panicking. A lot of people are in fear. But all you market participants out there need to realize that when people are panicking and when people are in fear, that is the area of maximum opportunity. If you are willing to buy Bitcoin above 9,000 or above 10,000, then you should definitely be willing to buy Bitcoin at these levels. If you don't follow me on Twitter, definitely follow me on Twitter. I was putting out a lot of tweets this morning. Today I said all of you long-term players in the Bitcoin market should be taking action right now. Get your average prices lower by accumulating more. Create better overall positions. This is opportunity. I also said you don't have to catch the exact bottom. Long-term, catching the exact bottom means nothing. Just accumulate during major downswings and relax. And lastly, I said, downside always gets me excited. If you understand that fear is a sign of opportunity, then you will be very successful in the long term. Buy the panic, buy the fear. This is Bitcoin. Before we get started on the analysis, I just want to make it clear that this price action does not change my long-term outlook on Bitcoin. Even though we're breaking below some key support levels, this does not change my opinion. We're going to be going over some key moving averages. And I also want to discuss why this could be your last chance to buy Bitcoin at good prices before the halving. Click that link below. Sign up for the Cryptowatch platform. The Cryptowatch platform is the platform you see me use in all my videos. It is by far the #1 platform. You don't have to log into exchanges anymore, guys. If you use Cryptowatch, you can trade directly off of your price charts, and you can trade on all the top exchanges, all from one place. So looking at Bitcoin on the daily chart, we can see that we are breaking below some key support levels. We are breaking below the support from the descending triangle. Also, this resistance range, this resistance and support range, after the major 42% China pump, we are falling below those levels right now. If you've been watching this channel recently, we've been talking a lot about the $9,000 to $9,100 level. Obviously, that level failed as a support. But ultimately, in my analysis, in all of my videos, I've been saying as long as we remain above the 21-week EMA, then things still look very bullish for Bitcoin. Looking at the weekly chart right now, we can see that Bitcoin is currently testing the 21-week EMA. And currently, we are holding that level. So this downside price action changes my outlook on Bitcoin a little bit. We've become more bearish than I expected. But as I've been saying in my past many videos, as long as we remain above the 21-week EMA, then things still look very bullish for Bitcoin from a long-term perspective. If we can keep getting higher lows on the weekly from here, then we will be looking to remain above the 21-week EMA, and things can still remain bullish for Bitcoin throughout the year of 2020. This would actually be really good market structure. And if you're looking at the chart right now from the weekly, if something like this did play out, which I personally think is likely, I do think we're going to remain above the 21-week EMA. I personally think that we are going to be looking to find support around this region, around the 21-week EMA. And if you're looking at the weekly chart overall, if I'm right about this and we are going to remain above the 21-week EMA, right, in this area right here, what we would see at that point is an area of lows, an area of lower lows, and an area of higher lows here. Of course, people know this as an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but ultimately what this type of market structure would tell me is that the bulls are gaining momentum again. If we can get a bounce off the 21-week EMA, then that would mean that we are once again looking at higher lows on the weekly chart, using the 21-week EMA as support in this market structure tells me that the bulls are gaining momentum in the long term. So as of right now, I do think that Bitcoin has a chance to pull off this type of market structure and for the bulls to gain that momentum in the long term. And ultimately, this would be a great entry for Bitcoin. This would be a great buying opportunity. a great area to accumulate, a great area to get the positions that you want in the crypto market. And also, real quick, I want to discuss the golden cross that we've seen. Bitcoin is currently still remaining above the 200-day moving average. We saw a slight wick below it recently, but we are right now still holding that level as it stands at the moment. A lot of people have been getting stressed out because Bitcoin saw a golden cross, and they thought that that meant that Bitcoin must moon now, right? Bitcoin must see really high prices now because we got the golden cross. You know, when there's a major bullish signal in a market, that doesn't mean that the prices have to start going up. I've seen in Bitcoin many times during these moving average crosses that the market will dump into a bullish moving average cross. A lot of times in markets, things are delayed, right? Things don't happen immediately. It takes time for the market to catch up with certain things. So we had the golden cross and we dumped. That doesn't mean that it's a failed golden cross. I mean, just like this area here, I mean, we had a death cross and Bitcoin was pumping at this point, and then afterward we saw a major dump. And we had a golden cross here and Bitcoin saw some downside. That doesn't mean it's a failed golden cross, guys. There can be a delayed reaction and we can still continue bullish and break out after this golden cross, right? It doesn't have to be immediate. It can be slightly delayed. That's actually totally normal. Now, because things are looking bearish, we got to talk about some downside here. Let's say we do break below the 21-week EMA. Let's say Bitcoin can't hold these levels and we do break down and we actually fall down to or below 8,000 and we meet this upward sloping trend line. My last area that I would still be bullish on Bitcoin would be about $7,700. At that point, we would be looking to test the upward sloping trend line once again, which would be our last major area for Bitcoin to remain within this uptrend. This previous support area right here, this is the area that the upward sloping trend line is coinciding with right now. So if we do see more continued downside, it's not necessarily the end of the world. People have been asking me, Kevin, when do you start to really get worried about Bitcoin? And for me, that level is $7,700. So in my opinion, we could go as low as $7,700 and still remain bullish. If Bitcoin breaks below $7,700 and we start to, find horizontal support along 6,400, at that point, I would be getting very bearish on Bitcoin. And at this point, this is when I would be looking for exit strategies and preparing for even lower prices. And Bitcoin would be entering a longer term descending triangle pattern. I would be looking to exit on these next bounces potentially if we are going to create a descending triangle. I would be looking to exit during these bounces. So for all of you people out there that are super bearish on Bitcoin, so this is my bearish scenario for Bitcoin. This is when an exit strategy would be coming into play for the Bitcoin market. I do not think this is likely. Personally, I think that Bitcoin is looking great from a long-term perspective. And for all of you guys out there that are familiar with my halving analysis, what Bitcoin is doing right now is still extremely similar to everything we've seen in the past. And for all of you that are familiar with my halving analysis, what Bitcoin is doing right now is very similar to what we've done in the past. I don't think that this downside price action that we're seeing right now, this short-term downside, is affecting the overall macro trend. Not yet, right? Not yet. Everything is still on track. If we look back in history, Bitcoin looks, we routinely see these types of moves. Even when we rally off a low point, sometimes we see a little bit of downside. Sometimes we come back to retest that 21-week EMA like we did in the last halving cycle. This is not uncommon. This has been seen many times before. So regardless of the short term, I do think that Bitcoin is still looking bullish from the long-term perspective. I do think that the levels that we're at now are a great area, great buying opportunity, and very likely Bitcoin, if we can find support within this region, is going to be creating a inverse head and shoulders, which would be an increase in momentum for the bulls. A lot of people talk about gaps and gap fills. Personally, I'm not the type of person that believes that every gap has to be filled. If every gap had to be filled, trading would be really easy. And I personally am not a gap fill type person. I don't really care too much about gaps. I think that if we break below the 21-week EMA, we're very likely going to be looking to test down to this upward sloping trend line. And I don't think that would have anything to do with gaps. Bitcoin is naturally a very volatile asset. And in my opinion, gaps get filled naturally in Bitcoin. I don't think there's a direct intent for the market to fill CME gaps. I think that these gaps get filled naturally within the market, within the natural volatility of Bitcoin. We see these gaps get filled. But overall, what Bitcoin is doing right now is still within the realm of the analysis that I've been providing here on this channel. We've been talking about the 21-week EMA as being a major support level. And I've been saying for the past many weeks, as long as we remain above the 21-week EMA, then things still look very bullish for Bitcoin. And as of right now, we are finding a little bit of support off the 21-week EMA. And as of right now, we are still above the 21-week EMA, which means that I got to remain bullish on Bitcoin. Things still look good for Bitcoin from a long-term perspective. And as long as we can create higher lows right now on the weekly chart and push back up to resistance, then things would look good going into the halving. Now, because Bitcoin has just seen a bit of a setback and we're now testing the 21-week EMA, if we can bounce off this level and create higher lows on the weekly chart, what would very likely happen at that point is we would be breaking out into the halving. As the halving is taking place, around the exact time period of the halving, I think that's when we would be seeing that breakout and a push up to the last previous highs here, just below 14,000 before the next major parabolic advance. So now that Bitcoin has seen a setback, what I think we need to look out for now is higher lows on the weekly and a breakout around the exact time of the halving. That is what I'm starting to think is likely right now. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel further, definitely join the Patreon, and I will see you all in the next video.